Hello, Malalale Bula, and welcome to this episode of 1000 Evidences for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In this one, number 214, we'll discuss more possible reasons why so many Polynesians have joined the LDS Church. Aside from their spirituality being one of the main reasons, as discussed in our last episode, they also believe and actually live a law akin to our United Order, or the law of consecration, as taught in the early LDS Church. They believe that possessions and goods are considered as belonging to all people, and they are very generous with their own property and food. I noticed that myself when living in the islands. I gave a ride to a man I didn't know and took him to his village in my car. And as he got out, he said, "Miniti taha, wait a minute." And he went and brought back a big stock of bananas. I was new at the time, new to the islands and unfamiliar with their customs, and I said, "Oh, no, thanks." And he looked like I had just slapped him across the face, and that he was on the verge of tears. So I said, "Oh, well, thank you. I accept." And then he started laughing and was very happy to give. A book about Will Mariner, a young boy who was marooned in the island, in the Tongan Islands, tells of a time when he and one of the islanders had been walking so long they were hungry and thirsty. The islanders said they should stop at a thatched hut and help themselves to food and water. Mariner was very surprised that he would suggest stopping at a place where no one was there. They were away. But the islander was more surprised that Mariner thought they shouldn't take what they needed. No doubt Mariner thought it was stealing. But he learned that the Tongans did have strict rules against stealing, but it was not considered stealing when there's a unselfish need. Their creed was not to take more than they needed, but only what was essential. It can be boiled down to the phrase, take and share. So they were happy to learn that the LDS Church preached the United Order and the law of consecration. While most preachers from other non-LDS religions struck fear in the minds of the listeners with horrific descriptions of unbearable pain in an everlasting lake of fire, the LDS missionaries spoke of kingdoms of glory. The unbiased non-LDS writer Edwin N. Ferdin, author of the book Early Tonga, wrote about the fact that the early Tongans did not believe in a burning hell that awaits the sinners, which is found on page 73 of his book. By the way, he was one of the members of the Kontiki expedition under the direction of Thor Heyerdahl. The Book of Mormon calls it more like a state of mind, this lake of fire, perhaps mental and emotional remorse, not a place of literal eternal burning. This idea appealed to the islanders when they were introduced to the church. Another parallel concerns the practice of polygamy among the islanders in the 1800s, as described on pages 135 and 136 of Ferdin's book. Mainstream Christian preachers chastised the islanders for that practice, but when the LDS missionaries supported it, the islanders were again moved toward accepting the church. The islanders also believed in numerous gods. We also believe, as Paul taught in the Bible, in the New Testament, that there are gods many and lords many, but to us there is but one God, the Father. And in like manner, the Polynesians believed in a number of gods, as described on page 69 of Ferdin's book. It is strange that even though Paul taught this principle, other churches do not teach it. The same writer, a non-LDS unbiased man, on page 74, says the Polynesians believe in deification. This also agrees with the idea that we Latter-day Saints believe we can become like God through our obedience. They believe that these human-like gods are called Maui, as described on page 70 through 72. Also, like the LDS, they have a high respect for women. They honor them and they believe in goddesses. We talk of a mother in heaven, and they call their goddesses such names as Kele, Lupe, and Henna, as shown on page 71, 75, and the 92 and 93 of Ferdinand's book. They saw that we also have a high respect for women in our church. Another parallel, the Islanders say that the earth is alive and it is feminine. Much like our Pearl of Great Price claims through the words of Enoch as recorded in the Book of Moses. The Polynesians also believe, just as the LDS, in multiple heavens. This is recorded in Ferdinand in his book on page 65, where he talks about a similar beliefs among the Tongan people. They have nursed a legend of two brothers in the Tongan culture and mythology, Ma'afulele and Ma'afutoka, who seem to be somewhat mischievous. After reading about Laman and Lemuel in the Book of Mormon, they may have noticed a parallel and wondered if their legend evolved from the same two men. Other churches teach of a soul or spirit within man. However, the LDS Church has always taught that we also have an intelligence within us, besides separate from the spirit or soul. This parallels the Polynesian belief that we have another entity within us besides our soul or spirit. Some of them refer to this separate entity as a type of twin. The Islanders built sacred consecrated houses, as described in Ferdinand's book on pages 70 through 80 and page 93. No doubt they saw the holy temples as similar to their own holy structures. The Islanders believed in vicarious ordinances and ceremonies for other people, as described in Ferdinand's book on pages 74 and through 92 and 93. No doubt when they heard of LDS performing ordinances for the dead, they saw it as parallel to their own ancient beliefs. Anciently, the Islanders had a word for great supernatural powers, which they called mana. According to their belief, no one could touch anyone with this mana power, such as a king or a noble. Such dignitaries were taboo. If an unauthorized person touched someone with this mana power, they would be struck down and could die. When the Islanders read 2 Nephi chapter 17, verses 52 through 54, they may have thought Nephi had this mana, or was taboo for the moment, when he stretched out his hand and shocked his brothers. The idea of Nephi shocking his brothers this way was no mystery to the Islanders. Thanks for watching, and don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. And remember, call, don't fall. Call on the God of light and truth. Don't fall for the mists of darkness caused by blind guides who play on people's gullibility.